What is the most bizarre thing you've caught yourself doing after your brain's autopilot misfired? I tried to mail my buddy a check, and it had been a while since I mailed anything. Long enough to forget how mail works apparently. What I did was I wrote my name and address in the center, and his name in the upper left-hand corner. The letter then got returned to me. But still, my first thought wasn't, whoops, I failed at mailing this check. Instead it was, well, I guess the stamp is old, and the price of stamps went up. So I put another stamp on it and sent it again, to myself, again. My mailman must think I'm retarded. Cup of coffee in left hand, phone in the right hand. Go to my room, take a sip of my phone and throw coffee on the bed. Vigorously picking my nose while holding a cigarette and driving, crammed lit cigarette up my nose. I was getting ready for work and had a contact in one hand and a vitamin in the other. Popped the contact in my mouth and washed it down with a glass of water. I'm sure the stomach acid took care of it. I dropped my pants when going through TSA. For those who fly in the super early morning, it can be rough. I purposely didn't drink coffee so I could sleep on the plane. I was on the security line and did the normal routine of taking stuff out of my pockets and putting them in my laptop bag. Then off with the shoes, placed on top of my luggage, then off comes the belt as usual. Then of course when you take off your belt you take off your pants, nope damn it. Put them back on and WTF'd for a moment as I finished up in security. Luckily not that many people fly at like 4:30 a.m. After an 8-hour day of cashiering at Target, which has so many robotic small talk conversations, I stopped at the dollar store. The conversation went something like, "Cashier, hi, how are you?" "Me, good, how are you?" "Cashier, I'm good, thanks." "Me, that's good. Did you find everything okay today?" That conversation was had to the effect of everyone in line and the cashier looking at me like I was psycho. I picked up my toothbrush to brush my teeth, but I also had the urge to piss, so I obviously tossed my toothbrush into the toilet. I took the metro home, then realized I drove to work. That was a long night. I sat there at an intersection in suburban Palo Alto at 11 p.m., patiently waiting for the stop sign to change. Once I was laying in bed very tired watching TV. All the characters on the show piled into a car together, and I thought for a second shit I forgot to put my seatbelt on before realizing I was safely in bed and nowhere near a car. Rubbed aftershave in my hair and put gel on my face. The worst part was that after I put the aftershave in my hair, I laughed at myself, thought, fuck, what was all that about, and then added the hair gel to my skin. I was playing guitar and reached to grab a cracker, then I ate my pick. Was jogging late at night. A guy reached out his hand in front of me as I passed. I high-fived him. Turns out he was hailing a taxi. There was a 6.0 earthquake at about 3 a.m., so I was asleep. The quake lasted 20 seconds and I woke up about 16 seconds in standing in the hallway hugging a vase. What the fuck? Somewhat related story here. During a similar earthquake, my girlfriend, who was a light sleeper, woke up pretty much as soon as the shaking started and yelled as fast as she could say, "Hey, wake up. There's an earthquake. What do we do?" I heard everything she said, but I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, so in my panic and drowsiness all I could think was to say stop, drop, and roll. I guess my half-asleep mind remembered that from elementary school when they teach us what to do if you're ever on fire. Of course I don't do it as I'm still trying to wake up and gain motor functions, but my girlfriend in her panic and probably semi-drowsiness rolls off the bed and literally stops, drops, and rolls on our bedroom floor until she's fully awake. A few seconds after the earthquake stopped, then she proceeds to yell at me for playing a prank on her while she was half asleep and scared. By this point I'm still in bed and can't move due to the laughter at watching her do it. I didn't actually want or try to prank her, it was just the only thing my brain thought to say, but to this day she thinks I did it to fuck with her. It still makes me cry with laughter every time I think about it. As a teenager, I worked at McDonald's. My McDonald's was 24 hours, and, during the summer, I worked the overnight shift. My sleep schedule would get all messed up. My parents woke me up for dinner one evening. I zombie walked to the table and sat down. My dad asked me to say grace. I bow my head and say, "Thank you for choosing McDonald's, may I take your order?" When I was in high school and living on the family farm, I used to feed the horses and barn cats every morning. Waking up at 6 a.m. for this as a 16-year-old guaranteed that I was half asleep. So, I grabbed the cat food like I always did, walked to the table where my cat's bowl was like I always did, and poured some in. My cat always jumped up on the table right away to start eating right away, and one morning as something jumped up in front of me I absent-mindedly pet it as usual. The hair felt a little rough, so I looked down, and instead of my friendly orange cat, there was a skunk. Just chilling there eating the cat food while I pet its back. Night before last, I went to the backyard to bring the dog into the house. Autopilot moved my feet 10 or so steps out the door, telling the dog to come in. My brain then caught up and remembered the dog was in bed and I was indeed approaching a black bear that was eating watermelon rinds from the trash can. I was making ramen noodles and a pitcher of Crystal Light at the same time. Berry flavored ramen is not good. Trying to get into a random person's car because I thought it was my friend's. The person whose car I was attempting to break into was very terrified. Turned around and went back home because I forgot my car keys. I was driving. Grabbed milk from the fridge. Grabbed a dinner plate from the cupboard. Began tilting the gallon jug toward the dish. Was about to pour myself a plate of milk when my mom walks by and asks what the fuck I'm doing. I used to work at McDonald's drive-thru. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, so I had been hardwired to say, "Welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you today?" Every single time I heard the headset beep. Straight up Pavlovian. One day there was a particularly wily fly that was always just a second ahead of me. I became very focused on killing this fly. I don't know how many times I said it before a coworker finally stopped laughing long enough to tell me, but it turns out I'd been saying welcome to McDonald's. How can I kill you today? To every car in the drive-thru. Not one customer even paused or acknowledged the fact that Ronald McDonald threatened them with murder. They just wanted their goddamn nuggets. Unwrap candy. Throw candy in trash. Stare at wrapper. The two that come to mind are while playing Xbox I got up to get a drink, then sit back down and can't find my freaking controller. I'm tearing cushions apart, looking under stuff, looking in drawers, etc. Turns out I took a soda out of the fridge and put the controller in the spot I took it from. The other one happened the other day. Drove home from work, parked, went upstairs, opened the door, started to take off shirt. Then I remembered it was the middle of my shift and I hadn't left to go home, but just go buy a drink. Applying deodorant on my armpit with my shirt still on. Jumped out of bed frantically. Put my clothes on. Brushed all the shit on my floor under my bed, paused. And realized it's 3 a.m. in the morning and I don't have school. I'm 23. My sister had a brain fart and left the water running in the kitchen. I went to turn it off and flipped the kitchen light switch. Repeatedly. Then started cussing when the switch wouldn't cut the water off. Then got my toolbox and started taking the faceplate off the light switch so I could see why it wasn't cutting the water off. At that point my other sister, who witnessed all of this, kindly pointed out that I had lost my ever-loving mind and cut the water off herself. Last night I picked up a box of cereal to put it away. I ended up accidentally taking it with me to bed. I once got my car impounded via brain autopilot. I lived across the street from a gas station and didn't drive very often. Once I was filling it up, went inside to buy something, forgot I was getting gas, and walked home. A few days later I reported my car stolen since I couldn't find it in the apartment garage. About a month later I get a call from the police, saying my car had gone up for auction and only then was it discovered it had been reported stolen. I had to pay about $1,500 in impound fees to get it back. Definitely one of the dumbest things I've ever done. I've thrown laundry detergent in the dryer on multiple occasions. I'm also used to starting the morning coffee for the whole office at 6 a.m. in the morning. One time I was late and autopilot to the kitchenette. I tossed out a pot of freshly made coffee and started another pot. This wasn't my own autopilot, but the most bizarre has got to be when an ex-girlfriend's dad dropped off my ex's kid at my house. I've only met the dad a handful of times before. He just drove up to my driveway, let the kid out, waved at me and drove off. After an awkward phone call, we ended up getting pizza and hanging out until the ex got off work to pick her son up. Sometimes I will see something out of the corner of my eye, and apparently your brain kind of does an autofill and tells you what you're seeing without actually seeing it. So I will be walking my dog and see a bush or something and think to myself for a split second, oh, there's an ostrich across the street. Then my I'm like, WTF is an ostrich doing here, and realize it's just a bush.